Section 4. You will hear a talk given to a group of young adults who are preparing to leave the United Kingdom in order to find work abroad. First, you have some time to look at questions 31 to 40. Listen carefully and answer questions 31 to 40.
Hello, people. Today, we are going to review the basic information we have discussed so far during this series of seminars in order to make your move abroad easier. Let's start with some statistics. On the whole, the number of people leaving the UK every year has been falling for a number of years now. As you can see on this graph, in the opening years of the 21st century, it was close to 200,000 people a year. It peaked at 207,000 a few years later, and then it began dropping steadily. Last year, it fell to 130,000. That's nearly 30% less than the number of people who emigrated in 2001 and 2002. Despite the steady fall in emigration, the most popular emigration destinations for UK citizens have not changed much. Over the same period, Australia has always attracted the highest number of emigrants from the UK, and the number has been growing steadily each year, from around 50,000 in 2001 to around 65,000 last year. In 2002, the US was overtaken by Spain as the next most popular place to emigrate to, but has since reclaimed second place. Unlike all of you here today, not all of these people left to find work. Some moved to be with family members. Some said they were off to study, and others moved abroad to retire. All in all, it's hard to get exact figures on how many UK citizens now live overseas, but a recent Home Office report suggests the total is around 5 million, with approximately 100,000 emigrating from the UK every year in search of work. Now, seeing that there are so many UK citizens living or working abroad, you may be thinking that it's easy to pack up and leave. However, there are some key things you should bear in mind if you plan to work abroad. So, before you pack your bags, there are a few things you should do. First of all, it's essential that you break the language barrier. When you go to a foreign country for work, it's important that you know how to communicate in the native language, even if it's just the basics. Not only will a basic knowledge of the language improve your quality of living while you're working abroad, but it will also make your job easier. Of course, to do this, you may need to spend time and money on a foreign language course, or invest in language learning software. Now, because you might experience culture shock when you go abroad, you need to research the country you intend to live in and learn about its culture. So, find out as much as you can, not only about the whole country, but also the specific region, including the political and economic situation, and, of course, local customs and food. In fact, you should read up on anything that will provide insight into the lifestyle and local community of your intended destination. You should also establish networks and contacts in the country where you plan to work. Networking is a powerful job search tool, but even if you already have a job arranged, developing a solid network of friends and contacts before you relocate will help you settle into your new location. It's also essential to think about your personal and professional needs. For example, you may prefer a job that pays a little less but doesn't require you to work overtime. Believe me, having free time is important, especially if you take your family with you. This will ensure your happiness while you're working abroad. And if you're going for an extended period of time, you'll need to feel at home in your new environment. So make sure you find a comfortable place to live in, and that you have the necessary conveniences of home. After all, the happier and more comfortable you are, the more likely you are to be productive. And finally, you must ensure that all your essential documentation is in order. By essential documentation, I'm referring to a passport, a residence visa, and a work permit. These 3 documents are obligatory if you're planning to emigrate to a country that's not in the European Union. Let's have a look at each one separately. UK passports are issued by Her Majesty's Passport Office, and getting one is not at all complicated. However, it does take at least 6 weeks to have one issued, so don't even think about booking your flight until you've got one. The second document you'll be needing is a residence visa for the country you're going to enter. This can be obtained from the country's embassy in the United Kingdom and is usually issued within 4 days. It's normally in the form of a stamp in the back of your passport, and it allows you to enter and stay in the country for a specific period of time. Last but not least, make sure you have a work permit for the country you plan to work in. Some countries require you to have one before entering, whereas others issue them once you're in the country. Make sure you find out what policy the country you're going to has on this issue by visiting its embassy's website or inquiring at the embassy in person. Remember, working for pay without a work permit is illegal and may put you at risk of deportation.
That is the end of section 4. You now have half a minute to check your answers. That is the end of the listening test. You now have 10 minutes to transfer your answers to the listening answer sheet.